Hello and welcome back to the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. I'm Dean Vasic, and yet again we're here after another frustrating loss for North Melbourne. This time going down by just 8 points to the competition's most informed team, probably this year, the Sydney Swans. Close enough to give you hope, but familiar. Yep, are you there, Frank? Well, Frank's
there.
not. Yeah, there we go. Off to a good start, Frank. So, 30 seconds in, and it was all over. So we'll start again, Frank.
All right.
We might as well just go straight into it. I've done the intro. Your thoughts on the game, Frank?
Look, Dean, I think we said just off air, we did a lot right. Did a hell of a lot right. Unfortunately, I think the back half of our structure, particularly in the defence, I think sometimes we invite pressure through indecision, and a couple of times we got caught out. And in the end, you look at such a small margin, and you think if we had just maybe taken the first option or taken the safer option, we might have snuck away with the points. But it's a common issue, I think, that we've all identified over the last few years, that the back line can be a bit rickety, and I thought that's probably what cost us the game.
Yeah, look, it was a combination of probably the first half where we did dominate. We probably didn't show on the scoreboard. Like, I think it was 16 scoring shots to 9, and we're only up by a point at that time. 8-8-56 to 9-1-55, but it's 16 to 10, I should say. And then the third quarter, just the ball just going inside 50, one of the Achilles heel that's been the Achilles heel for the team for a long time. 11 direct turnovers from 17 inside 50 forward entries. And playing against a team that relies on defensive half transition for a lot of their scores, is playing a little bit of Russian roulette, and you've seen Nick Blakey get on a couple, Jake Lloyd, Callum Mills, and that was probably the difference, just a couple of those things, Frank. And yes, it's not far away, but it's just not there, is it?
Yeah, I agree, Dean. Yeah, I think there was just I think we had, nearly 70 inside 50s and 27 shots at goal. I think you take that any day of the week, and more often than not, you probably walk away with a point. Given that they're kicking for goal in the first sort of 2.5 quarters, the goals must have seemed 18 feet wide because they just couldn't miss.
Yeah.
Which went against exactly what was happening with us. They kicked really well. We didn't. And then as maybe the ground started to open up a little bit with fatigue, that corridor just opened up, and we couldn't defend it on our turnovers at half forward. And they are probably one of if not the best side at springboarding off half back.
Yeah.
We just couldn't stop them.
Well, number one for scores from defensive 50 to inside 50 this year. So they rely a lot. It's almost like watching a soccer game where the team relies on a counter-attack.
Yep.
Just starting from the back and going forward in waves. And yeah, they've got a lot of, when they put speed on the ball, they're very hard to stop. George Wardlaw's pet possum, at George Wardlaw's pet possum, has come in saying, "We are coming, boys. Crows are going to get done Frank the Tank. Would you agree with that, Frank? Are the Crows in trouble this week?
Oh, I don't fear them at all on current form. I think we're as likely to beat them as we were beating GWS or Sydney. I think we'll be in up to it to our necks in this one. I just hope that the luck falls our way this week and we end up having a win. But I don't think we'd head over there with any concept of let's minimise the damage. I think this one's there to be won as well.
Have we ever won there, Frank? I don't think we ever have we?
Well, have we actually ever won at that ground? That's a very good question, Dean.
I think it's 0 and about 50 or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Might be something for ChatGPT. I think I went through it last year, but if we have, it would have only been on one hand. Count how many times we've won over there, so maybe one finger. But we'll get back to the game on Saturday afternoon. So, how did you see the balance of the back line this week with Aidan Corr coming out of the side? Did it feel more settled or more balanced to you, or were there still gaps that got exposed?
Oh, look, it's hard to say, isn't it, Dean? I mean, there was a couple of times where did Griffin Logue give his opponent too much space, or was the ball just coming down at a speed that it didn't matter who was on Logan McDonald, it was just unstoppable. It looked like there was a bit of both. I don't think we missed Corr. It didn't really sort of at any point in the game saying, I thought to myself, we need, if only we had another sort of tall defender. So I think it worked okay. I thought the balance was quite good. Probably not enough to suggest that there's going to be a change this week. Certainly not in the key defensive posts.
No, I don't know. We'll talk more about that soon. But just to answer your question, Frank, we have never won at the Adelaide Oval.
God, wow.
Yeah, since AFL football returned to Adelaide Oval in 2000, North Melbourne have played there multiple times against both Port Adelaide and Adelaide Football Club, but they still without a victory at the venue. So, but in fairness, Frank, we haven't won many games in in the last 7 years. So George Wardlaw's pet possum and is coming in and saying lucky to kick 4 and return to his best, boys. We'll definitely be talking about him soon.
Yep.
Did you think when Will Dawson was named that he would be predominantly just used as a second ruckman? Is that his long-term outlook? Not a bad game he played, in fairness to him. 37% game time on ground. And that's clearly the lowest by any of by both teams. The next lowest was 57% by Matt Roberts. 11 possessions, 4 tackles, 13 hitouts, 4 inside 50s, 5 score involvements. That's a pretty good game from a second ruckman. He's probably played better in that one game than Callum Coleman-Jones played in the 3 or 4 that he played.
I think he's made it very, very difficult for the selectors to not play him again this week. I'd be shocked if he didn't. I guess, Dean, off your point, is there a way that they can keep him on the ground when he's not rucking or taking the centre bounce? Can they do like they've done with Cooper Trembath and push him forward and then maybe rotate him and Cooper Trembath off the bench and into the ruck because he seems to have good leg speed for a big guy. Certainly held his own in the ruck, and I thought he did. I thought he was great, and I'd be really surprised if he doesn't play again.
No, I'm sure he get named this week. But long term, do you see him as a key defender or as a key forward? Maybe the pinch it's in the ruck.
Well, I thought he would come in as a key defender when he was named, but maybe it was to do with balance, and they kind of thought, look, we don't need that third genuine tall. So they played him through the ruck. Maybe against other sides, there might be the opportunity, or explore him as another tall forward option. I guess the problem is if you don't take either Darling or Trembath off, to push Dawson forward, you end up really, really tall in that forward line. So I don't think we can play them all.
No.
But, Trent Barker's been pretty quiet the last few weeks. So whether there's a chance to, rotating through into the ruck to get him into the game and push Dawson forward, could be an option.
Well, there's a slight doubt on Cooper Trembach this week as well. Didn't play last quarter. I still don't know too much about the injury. I did see him take a mark in the third quarter, and he looked really proppy. And didn't come back out on the ground after that. So, it did look like a leg injury, but I'm not too sure how serious that is. But we'll go back to the back line. Now, do you think it needs more drive and run, or maybe a little bit more youth? We're going to talk about a couple of players soon that were in the VFL. And there's a couple of senior players that are sort of getting towards possibly the end of their careers. Do you think it needs more youth, which is what a lot of people are calling for in that defensive half?
Dean, I'm probably one of those guys that think there's... I think we know what the back half that went out there on the weekend, we know what we're going to get out of them.
Yeah.
There's really no unknown quantity there. So you know what Luke McDonald's going to give you. You know what Griffin Loeb's going to give you. What we don't know is some of the guys in the twos, whether they can go beyond that level. And I think we're probably at the level now that we don't have a lot to lose by bringing in some of the younger guys that are performing well in the twos and finding out whether, these guys, their ceiling is higher than a handful of the guys that we've currently got in the back line.
I mean, Luke McDonald is probably the one that seems to be copping a bit now this week. And you mentioned, you know what you're going to get from Luke McDonald each week.
Yeah.
Would you be against moving on a player like him for a Riley Hardiman, who's been very good in the last 2 weeks? And he seems to have found his fitness. I think George Wardlaw's Pet Possums comes in that said Hardiman coming for Luke Elmack this week. So I think a lot of people would be on board with that, at least for a couple of weeks, just getting a young kid like Riley Hardiman in for Luke McDonald. What about yourself? Would you be happy with something like that?
I wouldn't have a problem with it, Dean. I mean, there is the opportunity to maybe move Zerha back to half forward and play both Luke McDonald and Riley Hardiman off a half back for Hardiman and maybe a defensive role for Luke McDonald. But if they're happy with Zerha at half back and they don't see that opportunity, I think it's probably at the stage now where Luke would die out on the ground. We know that. He'd put his body on the line and do whatever he can. But at some point, he get to the age where the youngest players start to just expose him for leg speed and things like that. And I think Hardiman, probably what he could bring would be the equal, outside of experience, of what an Elmack is giving us at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Look, there's more upside.
Yeah,
with Riley Hardiman. Yeah. And I think that's what you're trying to say. There's more upside with a player like that. Whereas we know the ceiling of Luke McDonald, it's not very high. I understand why the club are playing him. He brings a lot of experience and so forth. But it's time to try a couple of these kids as well. I'm on board with that. Now, you mentioned Cameron Zerha, and it's been a while. He's been in the back line for a few weeks. He's probably had more scoring shots from the back line than he has in the forward line this year. 22 disposals, 10 marks, 499 metres gained, 7 score involvements, 7 intercept possessions. It reads all right. A goal as well, Frank. So, I don't know. Are you happy seeing him progressing in the back line? It's only a small sample size, of course.
Yeah, look, he was certainly giving us nothing at half forward at the start of the year. He just looked off the pace. So I'm all for keeping him there if they feel that's that he's settled there and he's getting the ball. I don't have a problem with what he's contributing at the moment. I just don't want him at half back if it means players like Riley Hardiman aren't getting a game.
Well, he's out of contract too, Riley Hardiman. He is a Perth boy. So, you don't want to just keep him in the twos all year and never finding out, because he would just say, look, I'm just going to go back home. Yeah. And he'll definitely get a game for West Coast, I know that.
Yeah.
With some of the trop they've got in that back half. So, a couple of people have come in on the chat. Shimbona 80 at Shimbona 83. Unfortunately, with Elmack, he's use lets him down. Probably talking about
Yeah.
ball use.
Yeah.
Hardiman can defend, and he's an elite user. He certainly gives a lot of drive from that back half. And George Wardlaw's pet possum. I called it Dino. I called it early with the bull at half back. He called it about 2 years ago, George Wardlaw's pet possum. So, yeah, no, certainly he's doing some good things back there. Midfield. Now, I guess the good thing about having LDU or Harry Sheezel in there is that the other teams don't know which is the more dangerous one. We've seen James Jordan. He tagged Harry Sheezel first half. And then second half, with dominance of LDU in the first half, he went to LDU. It freed up Sheezel. So I thought it's a good thing to have that we've got one of those two. You can't tag them both. That we've always got one of those two that is available. It would be nice if teams didn't tag either of them, Frank. But yeah, I mean, they're both complementing each other quite well, aren't they?
Yep, it's a perfect combination that they both have a different skill set. And you cover one. It's probably like harking back to the Melbourne of a few years ago with Petrarca and Brayshaw and
Oliver.
Yeah. That it was from the opposition side. You covered one, the other two got off the chain, and so I think that's starting to happen to an extent with us with some of the depth in the midfield. And it was great that he was able to carry on. And neither of them were dead quiet. They both still continued to contribute. Obviously, he wasn't going to end up with, LDU wasn't going to finish up with 58 possessions or, off the back of what he did in the first quarter. Something had to give. But it was good. The Cecil jumped in and was able to contribute from, a different side of things.
Yeah, I think I was checking the stats. I think it might have been halfway through the second quarter. He had 17. The next best on the ground had 10, I think, or something like that. He definitely dominated early, and probably Sydney Swans felt like his influence was much more than probably what Harry Sheezel could give. But Harry Sheezel had a really good second half as well. So yeah, I mean, it would be nice if the teams didn't go to one of those, which has happened the last couple of weeks. I thought the O'Sullivan and Heaney matchup was a good one. Both had their moments, and one player had the umpire in his pocket as well, but he's a real talent, Foss. 22 touches, a great job at the end of the game. Great mark, I should say, at the end of the game in the pack. 2 goals. I really like this run with role. It's making him a better player playing against the competition's best, and he's learning a lot, and he's learning very quickly, Frank.
Yeah, learning very quickly. Seems to have a really good balance between defending and attacking. So he isn't just a completely negative sort of blanketer, gets his own footy. Looks to just improve week on week. A real talent that sometimes gets overlooked because of the midfield depth and some of the more established names in our midfield. But I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year, he might be one of the guys that the opposition are tagging because he looks a real talent.
Oh, he certainly does. Yeah, look, really enjoying the role that he's playing at the moment too. Playing a run with role, but he's attacking as well. He's not just playing a hard tag like Brady Rawlings or something used to play back in the day. He's definitely becoming a very, very dangerous two-way player.
Yeah.
Do you like McKercher's role, playing as an extra mid or high half forward? Gone from the back line, we've lost some drive back there with his pace and skill, but doing more damage forward half of the ground rather than the back half. I suppose that's what you get with him if he is going to play that high half forward role.
Yeah, and I look, he could have possibly kicked one of the goals of the year during the week, but unfortunately it ended up being a point. But I think I like the fact that he's prepared to run and try and create. It doesn't come off all the time, but I think he's more. I think when he's a scoring danger, it brings more to us rather than trying to sort of give off the ball from half back. I think he's developing into the kind of player that is prepared to run to 50 and have a shot himself, which brings a different element to his run and carry game. So I think we know what he's like. He's never going to be a defensive beast.
No.
He's a bit more of a run and create, and I think it's working well for him.
Oh, well, you've seen that exciting play in the first quarter where he just broke through the centre square. He gave a handball, got it back, had a shot at goal, but he just missed. But I mean, that's exciting to watch too. When he's running forward half of the ball and he's taking the game on, it's really exciting to watch. He will get caught every now and then, but you just got to take the good with the bad. Now, Rowan Lowe has come into the chat and he's defending Elmac here. Frank, he said, we underestimate Elmac. He's important, even with the occasional mistake. He wants Hardiman back, but we can move either Zerha or Blamires. Just on Blamires, you went back to the half-back flank. I guess if they want to keep Elmac in the team, that Blamires would probably come out for Hardiman if they're going to swap that around, I guess.
Which is a bit of a shame because I think Blamires has settled in well. And again, I'd like to continue with him, but I don't have a problem with that. I understand that Lukey Mack defends with every fibre of his body, and he's prepared to sit in the hole. He's prepared to double back. You cannot question his courage or his ability to try and win the contested ball. I think, though, he's never been super quick, and I think he does have a tendency to invite pressure. But he doesn't seem to have the confidence or maybe the pressure. He starts to and ah and sometimes over-possesses the ball or hangs onto it too long. And he ends up just blasting it on the left foot to a contest. I think he had 6 or 7 turnovers for the game. And I think he's never been one of those precision left footers that can, sort of hit a target 40 metres up the ground with a flat sort of punt. So it ends up being either a short handball or a long kick to a contest. Probably not what we need, but then again, he does defend, so it's a balance, I guess.
Yeah, it's just trying to get. It's still working on things, trying to get the balance of the team a little better. Rowan Lowe sort of came in and said Blamires back on the wing. Look, I mean, we've got a few wingmen at the moment, so yeah, he certainly can play that role, and he's been quite good in that role on occasions this year. Now, forward line was a very reactive forward line because the Swans started a lot of their change from the back 50. We talked about that, and Blakey is a link player with that. Very dangerous when he goes downhill. Is the forward line lacking something, Frank?
Oh, well, look, I thought on the weekend we moved the ball a little bit slow and predictable. It often ended up just being a long kick to, the old, what we used to call, the hot spot, and hoping that someone would clunk a mark, which didn't really happen. And that, I think, fell into Sydney's game plan of winning it there and rebounding. So, I don't know, did we move the ball fast enough? I don't think we honoured the leads. I think players did lead. There were shorter options, but we tended to go long. I think we'd all love, a Nick Watson type, but they don't grow on trees. So at the moment, I think it was a little bit of both. The ball movement wasn't great, and I don't think we took the best option each time. I think we fell back into a bit of a, look, let's just kick it long and hope that Larkey or Trembath or Darling can take a mark.
Well, Darling was he looked our most dangerous.
He did.
Forward, Frank. Another 2 goals, and he got that one taken off him, one to hit the post or clip the post as well. So he kicked 2 goals, 3. And he deserves his spot in the team right now because it was about a month ago he went out of the team and we thought, that's not a bad thing. He's a bit of an older veteran. He can help the young players like Matt Whitlock in the reserves, but he came back in and he hasn't set a foot wrong in his form. Definitely deserves a spot. And he's, like I just mentioned, he's probably been our best key forward this year.
Yep, and still applies a lot of pressure when the ball hits the ground for a bigger guy. So, yeah, he's certainly, I thought he was our best forward on the night as well. So, was it just a couple of key forwards that are out of form? Was it our ball movement? Did we take too long to move the ball and take the best option? I think it was a bit of everything.
Now we'll talk about a player that is out of form. We won't talk about Cooper Trembath because it's a bit different. But we'll talk about the skipper now. He's coming for some criticism, and David King has come in for some has come in hard at him the other day on the first crack. So no goals after a goal last week. His body language to me, Frank, seems poor sometimes when it doesn't go his way, and I know he gets frustrated, but he has to be better at conveying his message because it can be a bit demeaning to other players when you're just looking up, throwing your hands up. I mean, there was one with Luke Parker, was trying to tell him to go more towards the pocket and kicked it there, whereas Larky went, and there was a miscommunication. And he was expecting Luke Parker to kick the ball 70 metres to him, and he's throwing his hands up and he started carrying on. He's got to be better as a leader. It's not when he's not playing well. There's no doubt about that. But he's got to be better at showing the right body language to his teammates, especially the young team. I feel.
Yeah, and I think he's always had an element of trying to play for free kicks.
Yeah.
And I think that's gotten worse, or the umpires have gotten smarter, or it's a bit of both. But I think he tends to take himself out of the contest too easily, and I don't think that's a good look either. When you've got other guys, like Jack Darling battling one-on-one to try and take contested marks. I think it's crept into his game a little bit. Maybe he's out of form. He sort of feels that this is the only way I can bring myself into the game. But, yeah, I think he just exits out of contests too easily.
Yeah, there was one he flopped. He got a free kick for it too. He dropped the chest mark. And he flopped on the slightest contact and managed to get a free kick. Still missed the goal.
Yeah.
But, and umpires will catch on to that eventually, and they'll stop paying free kicks. They'll just say, even when they're legitimate.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that because if you're going to start flopping, then you don't deserve anything.
Look, I don't care if he doesn't mark it, Dean. I just want him to stay in the contest. Right? And if he gets out marked, so be it, but do it on your feet. Don't do it lying on the ground and throwing your hands up in the air. Like you said, I just don't think that sends a great message. I'd rather him wrestle in the goal square and get a free kick for holding the man or whatever, but show that resilience to want to fight and not lose the front spot. And I think that's kind of left him a little bit, maybe because of his form. He's defaulted back to the old, look, I'll just try and milk a free kick.
Well, is that... David King said the other day he's had 24 one-on-one contests this year. Do you know how many he's won, Frank?
God, Dean, I'm going to say 2.
He's 1-0 of one-on-one contests. So
that doesn't surprise me, Dean, because I think when you watch him a lot, like you and I do, I think it's probably something that's crept into his game a bit over the last couple of years. And I think this year it's gotten a little bit more predominant, and maybe the umpires have kind of said, listen, this guy's flopping.
Yeah. So that's something he's got to work on. He's a leader of the club, and he's got to set the example the right way, not just talk about it. So, yeah, he's definitely under the pump, and rightfully so. If you're going to take that responsibility, then the leadership and the ownership's got to come on you a little bit. We are missing a small though, aren't we, Frank? When the ball hits the ground, and we've seen that the other day, we just don't have anyone there that's front and square enough, do we?
No. The ball seemed to just hit the ground and got cleared. Not all the time. I think our forward line pressure is okay.
It's gotten better. Yeah,
it's gotten better. But yeah, we don't look threatening when the ball hits the ground in the forward line. So yeah, look, we're certainly rotating through players that fit that mould. And I think with Doveston, we obviously went and recruited that everyone I think most North people wanted us to get him, and we got him. Yeah. Still a long way to go on his journey, and hopefully he becomes the player that we want. But at the moment, there just doesn't seem to be that buzz around the forward line when the ball hits the ground.
Well, who do you think's our best small forward at the club right now, Frank?
That's a good question, Dean.
We've got about 10 of them. And
we do. So, I guess you break it down, don't you? I think Castanti's probably the best defensive small forward in his, willingness to want to chase and tackle, but he hasn't got a lot of forward craft in kicking goals or getting into the right spots. Then you've got Zach Bant, a bit of an unknown, sort of, again, still trying to find his feet. Doveston, maybe not quite at the level aerobically to play that role for 4 quarters. And then you got it like Hanson Jr. We've rolled him through there, highly skilled, but probably doesn't bring that physical side to his game. So I think we've got, like, if we could put all 4 of them in a blender, we'd probably have the player that we want. But yeah, unfortunately, we haven't been able to find one that's got all those facets in the one player.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Spargo, you probably forgot to mention there.
Charlie Spargo, yeah.
His ceiling seems limited as well. Not that that's a bad thing. I just think he's a good player when he's in a very good team. When he's in an average team, he's probably a below average player. Yeah. I don't think he's been bad. I think he's been quite serviceable the couple of weeks he has been in. But I still maintain, Frank, that the best small forward at the club, and this is a sample size that goes back to his Carlton days, I think it's Zach Fisher. But he's not he's injured at the moment. But at least he gives that drive and a bit of speed in that forward line. He can get those crumbing goals as well. So he has done that at Carlton. But yeah, hopefully he gets his body right, and that's the most important thing. Any worries about Trenbath? I talked about his injury, but he hasn't kicked a goal for 3 weeks. At least he seemed more involved this week, but I don't know. I feel like if you're going to rely on contested marks every week, I think you're going to have probably more average games than good games, to me, Frank. Even Wayne Carey didn't always rely on contested marks. He was the best ever at it. But he could still lead up to the ball and find space and get goals like that. I feel like Trenbath is just, and it might not just be him. It might be a case of how we're delivering it to him. We talked about the delivery sometimes and how we're using him. But it would be nice if they could just hit him out, lace up a little bit as well.
Yeah, I haven't really sort of looked closely at his leading patterns at the games, but you're right. He does strike me as the kind of guy that likes to just stop and prop and go up in a pack, and he's done it really well in the first half of this year. I thought maybe on the weekend it had a lot to do with our ball movement as well. Sydney sort of pushed back in general play, and then did we not lead or did we not honour leads, and then we end up kicking long, and I guess that's probably where he feels most comfortable. But I think a couple of times all 3 of them went up together against each other. So there was a little bit of miscommunication as well. So, yeah, look, his form hasn't been great the last few weeks. I'm sure, that he's aware that there's other facets of the game that he's got to try and work on. If he's injured, then I guess maybe, he has a break and we get a look at someone else. But no long-term concerns about him. I think, like you said, probably just needs to bring another string to his bow.
Yeah, definitely. Happy. I know we had Will Dawson as a second ruckman on the weekend, but he's been quite good with that, hasn't he? Like being that second ruckman because he's got quite a good leap.
He has. He's been great. Hence why I think we were so surprised that Will Dawson got the job because I thought Cooper Trenbath in some of the games actually gave us more at the centre bounce than Tristan Cherry. So I thought he had done that job really, really well. I guess, I don't know, they probably looked at Dawson and in the twos and thought, look, this guy can do essentially the same thing. And that way it lets Cooper sort of focus on his forward line work. But, look, I thought he had done a terrific job as a second hit ruckman for us in the first half.
No, he definitely did. Only 37% game time as well for Trenbath, I was going to say. But Will Dawson, I'm not too sure what the time on ground was with Trenbath. But look, is that something we've got to look at as well? Like the centre bounce, do we need to take a Tristan Cherry out of there to put in a Will Dawson or a Cooper Trenbath just for that centre bounce ruck situation? Because I even noticed with Melbourne, they're putting in Max Heath instead of Max Gawn. Because he's got a better leap. Is that something we've got to look at and just put Treston Sherry centre half forward to the centre bounce? And once it's done, you can push him into the... Because outside of that, his stoppage work is pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I've got no problem. I think he's an absolute bull at stoppages around the ground. His ferocity is what makes him so valuable. Maybe he gets a bit outsmarted at that centre bounce with ruckman that sometimes stay down, otherwise, or sometimes leap over him. I wouldn't have a problem with that, and I think a lot of clubs are probably going to start exploring that, where they just go almost with a specialty centre bounce, tall, and then rotate him out and have your stoppage ruckman. So I don't have a problem with him. Cherry kicked a great goal on the weekend. He obviously, he's a decent kick. Him starting at centre half forward or whatever and swapping with Dawson throughout the game, I wouldn't have an issue. Dawson looked like he was more than capable to take the stoppages around the ground when Cherry's off. So, yeah, I'd have no issue with that at all.
I think Will Dawson's gone to about 204 centimetres at the moment, so he's grown a lot. Yeah, which is good. It's not a bad thing, that's for sure. So, but another player that's out of contract at the end of the year. Frank, anything else to add to that game before we get to the reserves?
No, I don't think so, Dean. I think that was you. I think we've pretty much covered it off.
Yeah, no, I feel like we have. But reserves had a good win on the weekend, Frank. Now, unfortunately, they did play at the same time as the senior men's team. But I did manage to watch the highlights. Now, not many listed VFL players, and even their best player, Darcy McPherson, not playing, but managed to get the win, Frank, by 12 points. Cooper Harvey, 38 possessions, 14 intercepts, 5 scoring involvements. Is he putting his name rightly in the frame, Frank? Because I know there's been a lot of talk, well, he's just taking a kick out, so that's why his possessions are high and he's getting cheap possessions, but I thought he played pretty well. And I know we're talking about Riley Hardiman, but Cooper Harvey, he's got to be close, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Dean, the last time he played, I had a feeling we played him at half forward, even though he'd been playing predominantly as a half back in the reserves last year, and then came in kick 4 or something
against Melbourne.
Against Melbourne off half forward. So maybe even that is coming into the equation, where they may have been playing him in the back line to try and work on his defensive mindset with the long-term view that he could play as a forward, but with a more defensive side. 37 disposals, Dean, and the numbers. I think he had great numbers the week prior as well. Yeah. He's got to be in the. He's got to be in the frame. I guess it's a matter of who comes out for him.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we're going to go younger, then maybe Luke McDonald comes out for this week, and they can always rest Luke McDonald for a week or two. It's certainly not going to hurt him. But other players have performed pretty well. Riley Hardiman, 27 touches, 96% disposal efficiency with that too. Frank, he's a good user of the ball. Hugo Mukunda probably played his best game for the club, 25 touches and 10 intercepts. Matt Whitlock was pushing up the ground a bit with 19 touches and a goal. Zach Banch playing a high half forward with 16 touches. Bailey Scott, a bit of form for him, 26 touches playing on the wing. And Lockie Doveston, we've talked about him, just kicked the 1 goal. Still needs to work on his craft. Aidan Corr, Frank, with a nice little turnover from full back to 30 metres out, which cost us a goal. Besides that, he was all right. But I guess it's Hardiman and Harvey are the two main ones pushing for a senior call-up, unless you can think of anyone else, Frank.
No, just that Aidan Corr 30-metre turnover. I'm pretty sure we've got that facet covered in the seniors. We've got plenty of guys that have a tendency to do that as it is, so we might just keep Aidan where he is for the moment. But if we need a 30-metre turnover in the back half, we know where to go. And, the others, good to see. I'm happy to see Bailey Scott still, putting up those numbers. I don't think he's going to work his way back into the team again, Dean, at any stage, barring suspension or injury. But good to see that he's still, maybe imparting some of that experience onto some of the younger guys. But I think Harvey and Hardiman are probably the two that we look at. and go, look, we can definitely use Hardiman's left foot and his efficiency and his rebound if we can bring him in. And then Harvey, I guess, just on the way to numbers. At some point they're gonna have to give him a chance when he keeps putting up those numbers. But is it for Costanti? I don't know.
Do you like Cooper Harvey as a player in general, not as a forward, back, or anything? Or
look, he's obviously got the ability, Dean, hasn't he? You don't pick up those kind of numbers, 2-3 weeks in a row without having the ability. I think my knock and many people's knock on him is always that he was deemed to be a little bit lazy, but maybe he's worked on that. I think was he the last guy given a contract last year? I think.
Oh, I think it's the last 2 years. He's been, he's pretty...
So he knows that without the effort, he's not guaranteed a senior contract next year. Maybe that's brought out the hunger in him. Look, I wouldn't have any problem if he got a game this week.
No, definitely. Look, I certainly hope he gets another opportunity before they make the call on his AFL career. I'd look, if it doesn't work out North Melbourne, you never know, another club might come calling in for him, but it's highly unlikely this day and age because other clubs will just be thinking, he's Brent Harvey's son, so he's, there's no guarantees that he's going to be like Brent Harvey or anything like that. So it makes it tough for him because, look, he is a father's son, but he's another half forward, which we've got. So we've got a number of them on the list, and we've had to delist a couple over the years, like Eddie Ford last year, who's a very good half forward, I felt. But, we just had too many at the time and, didn't have a contract at the time. So, unfortunately, he missed out. But moving forward, the Crows this week away from home. We've never won at Adelaide Oval, Frank. Now, we talked about this earlier in the pod. Are you confident that we can turn that around?
Well, I'm not confident, but I'm probably as confident as I've been in the last 6 or 7 years heading over to Adelaide. I think we've got a really, really good chance to beat them. I think they're in just so form. I don't think they're playing brilliant footy. No. So, I think that they are absolutely gettable. Whether we can get them, we'll find out.
Yeah, I think Darcy Fogarty will be back this week. He played in their twos on the weekend. But I guess,
has not been in good form, Fogarty, this year. He's
had injuries, hasn't he?
I don't know, but he's been really poor. I was a big Fogarty fan on his first few years. I thought he really had old school football brain, but he's lost whether it's injury or whatever, he's lost a lot of form. So I'm nowhere near as threatened by his inclusion as I would have been 18 months ago.
No. Look, well, they've got Finbar Malley, who's probably taken his spot, and he's looking, he's been more than serviceable. He looks like a pretty good, decent role player for a team, as opposed to, keeping CCJ on the list.
Didn't play last week.
No, he didn't, but he's been, when we didn't have Tristan Sherry for 3 weeks, he would have been a good replacement too. So, as a backup ruckman, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, look, we've had some big losses at Adelaide Oval too, haven't we, Frank? Over the years, I mean, we've lost to a lot of teams over the last 6 or 7 years, but it hasn't been a happy hunting ground, has it? The Adelaide Oval. I mean, we go back to 1993 where. That pre-season game where we lost by 147 points, and Schimmelbusch lost his job after that game, didn't he?
Yes, we do remember. I remember that game.
I remember that game
as it played out, and that was a horrible chapter. Went over there because Qantas had dropped us as well, and so our jumpers were almost home brand. They had no sponsor logo on it. And we went over there almost like an amateur footy club at the look of it, and then got done by 147 points. And you really wondered, geez, where are we going? And it turned around. But look, I think we're a genuine chance. Got to take the crowd out of it early. We're not going to chase the game down from behind. I don't think. So got to get off to a good start, take the crowd out of it, build some self-belief, and I think we can upset them.
No, we can certainly only hope, Frank.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely cover that more later in the week when team news comes out. Hey, just to finish off, are you hoping for anyone in particular to come into the team and maybe anyone to maybe just have a week off?
Not anyone that I have to absolutely see go. That happened last week. Riley Hardiman. I've been a big Riley Hardiman fan since his first game against Freo last year. When was it last year or the year before when he came in for his debut game and we were 40 points ahead of Freo or 37 points ahead of Freo at Marvel in like round 3 or 4, and then they ended up beating us by about 40 points. I reckon it was probably 2 years ago that we got off to a really good start against them, and that was his first game. And I thought, geez, at quarter time, I thought, geez, this kid looks like a 50-game veteran. And then as the momentum swung, I think he sort of found himself in the deep end a bit more than what he wanted. But I've always been a fan of his, and I would definitely love to see him come in this week.
No, yeah, he's probably the main one. He hasn't been emergency either, which I found a little bit bizarre. So hopefully he does get that opportunity. This week, and I think it's a good time of week. It's good game to come into because we certainly need a little bit more youth and a little bit more drive out of that defensive 50. And his form has been quite solid in the last 2 weeks. But did you want to add anything else, Frank, before I let you go?
No, Dino. I think that's really it. I think we'll sit back on Saturday early afternoon and hope that the boys can pull it off, and we can have something a bit more positive to chat about during the week. But looking forward to the match selection to see who comes in and who comes out, and then see how we build for the game on Saturday.
You could have gone this week, Frank, and you had your own little gather round instead of going to the gather.
Mate, I'm still trying to get over the credit card.
Still trying to pay that off.
For gather round, it's certainly they don't miss you, Dean, when you go over there with. If you're thirsty, you end up paying for it. So
and that's the problem, isn't it?
No, I won't. I hadn't thought of going out there, but look, I certainly encourage it for any. I have been there before for a North v Crows game, just home and away round, and it's probably, it's almost, I wouldn't say it's better than gather round, but when you're the only game in town, it's just easy to get around and probably a lot cheaper too. But it is definitely a great trip.
Well, it definitely would be a lot cheaper than gather round. They overinflate the prices. I went to Geelong for the first time in my lifetime the other week, Frank, and I really enjoyed the experience going to a different ground. So it's something I'll definitely look into in the future. But that'll do us for this episode of the Hashtag Kangaroos. Frank, thanks for jumping on. Always good to talk it through. So thanks for coming on, mate.
No drama at all, Dean. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, mate. And thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to people for coming into the chat as well. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, leave a rating, and share it with all fellow Roos supporters who are riding the ups and downs with us. I'm Dean Vasic. This has been the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. We'll catch you not next week. We'll catch you later this week to go through team news. Until then, bye for now.